Alright, let's get started. So we're just going to open Onshape. That's the program we'll use to create this particular CAD assembly, parts and then assembly. I'm creating the arbor, the triangular arbor. It'll look like this, this one here, just like that. With these kind of blocks, probably that'll be one piece there and one piece there instead of 4 pieces altogether. But that's what we're looking at making in the Parts Studio, and then we're going to assemble all of it together. So first thing you're going to want to do is go to Onshape main page. You can create a new document. We'll do that actually. We'll create a new document and call it Arbour Parts and Assembly. Okay. And now we're in the Parts Studio. Down the bottom left you can see one's Assembly, one's Parts Studio. Alright, so first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a sketch. So we're going to select our view first, up in this top right corner, and we're going to select the front view. And then we're going to select this plane here. So this is our reference plane for any drawing that we do. If we select it, all the drawing will be constrained to this particular plane. If we selected the right plane, it would be constrained to this plane here. Alright, so we're going to select our front plane, our front view, and then we're going to create a sketch up in this top left corner. So left click that one. Alright, now we're going to want to throw some lines down just to give us some critical dimensions. So I'm going to grab our line tool over here. You can press L otherwise. And I'm going to go down to the bottom of the plane, and I'm going to wait for those yellow dotted lines to come up on that middle line, which is also the right plane, but it's just the middle line in the front view. So I'm going to left click, I'm going to drag it up to the top, and I'm going to let go. And now I'm going to write the dimension for the height of the arbor. You can change the height obviously, but it will then change the dimensions for the entire thing. So you'd have to constantly think about what kind of dimensions that you want in there and how it's going to come together. And you're more than welcome to do that. It's just a little bit more work, there's nothing wrong with that. So the height of mine is 2,270 millimeters. Now, before I continue, I'm going to make sure that our dimensions are in millimeters. So I'm going to go over to this document menu here. I'm going to left click on that, and then I'm going to go into workspace units. And as you can see, default length unit is in millimeters, and degrees is our angle unit, and our mass unit is kilograms. So that looks good. I'm going to tick on that, and now I'm going to go into front view again. As you can see, it's corrected to include my entire line. Alright, so now that we've got our upright dimension, we can do our diagonal dimensions as well. So first things first, I'm going to do another, I don't want to do another sketch. I'll go into sketch 1, and I'm going to do 2 lines that will be our diagonal lines. So my outside diagonal line is 2380. Now I'm just going to drop it in an arbitrary diagonal way. I'll keep it with see that yellow dotted line? That means it's in line with the middle of the plane, not the bottom though. We want it in line with the bottom. There we go. And I can just drop it there. So that's in line with the bottom of the height dimension line. So I'm going to drop it there, left click out. Now we have our other line here. And I'm just going to select L again. Just press L and then it'll take you out of that. Alright, so we have that line now, and we want to dimension that line. We don't want to leave it just like that. So we're going to go over to here to our dimension tool, and I'm going to left click on that. Left click on the diagonal line and pull it out, and then left click again. And now you can change this line's dimensions to whatever you see fit. So my dimension is 2380. Alright, now that's pulled it out to that side, so we can work with that now. And I'm going to do the same thing, pressing L once again on the other side. Sometimes it helps when you take it down to the bottom of that line and then pull it out. It just allows the AI of Onshape to understand what you're doing, and then it makes a correction to its algorithm to give you that line instead of this center line. So there we are. And we're going to dimension this line as well. Now you don't actually have to go straight to the dimension tool. See how there's this dimension box here? That's the line we just drew, the length of it. If you just start writing that other dimension, 2380, it should automatically lock into whatever that box is, and you can dimension whatever you just drew. Alright, so enter on that. Alright, so now we can measure the distance between the two ends of the triangle. But I'm not going to focus on that. What I'm going to focus on is drawing a line that is 100, well, not quite 100, but I'm going to draw a line that's perpendicular to this line here that is 100. So we'll left click that. So perpendicular meaning that it's a exactly 90-degree angle. So you can see, if I had a second mouse it would be good, but under the 99.48951 dimension, there is a upside down T with a little box in the corner. That box just means that it is exactly at 90 degrees. So I'm going to left click that one, and we're going to make that dimension 100, so just write 100 because we got that box up. Enter. And then I'm going to draw this line all the way to the top, to that center line that we got running. And I want to make it so that it is parallel to this line here. So as you can see, well, we just had it a second ago. Well, as long as it's perpendicular, it will be parallel. So if we take it to this middle upright line, and you can see that perpendicular symbol just came up then, and the other symbol just means that we're connecting to the line. That means it's perpendicular to that 100mm line we drew down the bottom, which means that it's exactly 90 degrees to that line, and because the other line's also 90 degrees to it, it's exactly parallel to the other line. So it's exactly side by side, that line. So we can left click that, and then we got our side, and we're going to actually carry it through to the other side. And as you can see, outside line has gone yellow, and all that means is that it is parallel to that line. And we can see the bottom line is yellow dotted. That means it is exactly in line with that other point on the other side. And you can also actually see the parallel symbol just under our cursor. There's two lines across from each other, and that just means it's parallel, side by side, exactly. So I'm going to left click that, and then we're going to do another line that should be exactly 100 to that point there, and it is. So I'm going to left click, and now just to check that degree, we're going to go to our dimension tool, left click, and boom, 100. Great. So now the next thing to do is to flatten this line here. And we can keep all the other lines, but we'll just flatten it so that it would sit flush with the floor. So there we go. You can see the yellow dot, and that single line just means it's at 180 degrees. All right, so I can left click on that one. As long as it's hitting that point, we know because we got that symbol that it's hitting the other line. Can leave that there. Just click L and then click L again, and we'll do the same on the other side. There we go. And that's the exact same dimension. And that line should be exactly straight. And it is. All right. Yep. Okay, so now that we have both of our sides, we can go up here and start working on the joint. So I'm just going to click L and click L again. Now this particular line up here, oh, go back. Sometimes if you double click and hold and move it, it will take you to a different view. So we're just going to go back to the front view, and we're going to zoom in on this section here. And if you hold Control and double click, yeah, then you can move it around up and down. Yeah, then you can move it around using Control. You can move it side to side, up and down, without changing the view. And that's a really useful tool because you might want to get to a different part, maybe down here further, without changing the view. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from this top point to this bottom point. Now we know that that is 332 millimeters long. Which is a bit longer than I expected. This is why you can hear me being silent. But that's okay, we can work with that one. So what we'll do is we're going to draw a line, and we're going to make that one, so if it's 332, and say we want a notch of, I'll show you what I mean by the notch. Just so you understand we're on the same page. Notch. Something like this. So that's our notch. But this is a triangle. So this is the diagonal of the triangle, and this is the other diagonal. And it's a bit smaller and doesn't go all the way through to the other side. But it does go... it does have a full dimension, so that goes all the way through the timber, and that's all the timber as well. but there's still space out here so that this piece of timber is still contacting this side of the joint. There's not many good examples. Try and find a better example. I have mentioned this in my blog, this particular joint. But yeah, you'll see what we're thinking. So we're probably gonna, if we're using that one as an example, we're gonna make this dimension here about 50 and we'll make this dimension here about 60. Alright, so I'll go back. So if we get our calculator out and we go, what was that? Oh, might have to click out. That was 332 or 33 even. Get our calculator out. We go 333 minus 50. That's 283. So we go, and then we go 283 divided by 2, which gives us 140. But we probably want our notch to be a little further down, so we might go 150 on the top bit and then 130 on the bottom bit. So we'll click out of that. It's just to give us some numbers, just to reference. So we'll go 150 on the top bit, 150. Oh. So what's happened here is I've done my line and I've actually attached it to the center point of this line here. And then I've tried to make it into 150, which will try not only to make the line I just drew into 150 dimension, it will try and move the center point to 150 mils away from the top, which means it will have to change the entire design. As you can see, there's red all over this place that says we can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to undo that line because it won't work. So I'm just going to press Command Z or Control Z if you're on a different type of computer. And we're going to redraw that line at the top. And we're going to pass that center point line. That's where we went wrong the first time. Or we can do it just before. And we'll change that dimension to 150. Right. Might even want to go a bit further down. Maybe we want to go 200. So go to your dimension tool over here. And we're going to click on the 150, double click on it, and change that to 200. There we go, that's a bit better. Alright, so from here we can draw our notch. So we're going to use that endpoint there from 200 millimeters down from the top. And a left click, drop the line, along that middle line, and we're going to write 50. Right, and then we're going to complete the line by just taking it down to the bottom, and that's about 82 millimeters. All right, 83 nearly. All right, so from here we're going to create our notch. So our notch can probably protrude if I go to the center line of the 50. Left click, take it out. We can probably let it protrude 45 mil, which is what I have in my dimensions for it anyway. So we'll go left click here and we'll go 45 mil, and we were going to make the notch I think 10 mil larger overall, so we're going to make it 60. This top line 60, so we want it to look like the timber notch over here. We want it to be on an angle that allows it to, well, it gives it an extra strength for starters. It also allows it to not these both triangles not to move as much. So if we draw this line just so that it's going 90 degrees upright, you can see because that line on the symbol is going upright. Click it wherever, and then we're going to write 30, because 30 from the center line this way is, well, 30, and then 30 from the top line down to the center line is 30, and then 30 past that is going to be 60. So from that top line we can just do one line and we'll make that line 60. Alright, we're going to have to delete a few lines out later on, but that's okay, as long as we know they're there. So we're going to take this line now, I'm going to connect it to the end of the 50 dimension, and that's good. And then we're going to left click on this line here, the top one, and then going to click that to the start of the 50 line as well. Alright, so now we've got our notch. As you can see, it's on a bit of an angle. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to snip out some of the extra lines that we have in there. So we're going to use our scissor tool up here. You may need to left click and grab it. And we're going to delete this center line, that's unnecessary. And delete this line and this line multiple times because there's a few of them in there. We're going to go through and delete as many as we need of this line. So I'm just going to keep clicking until they're all gone. And then once they're all gone, just press Ctrl Z to bring back one line. That's just a nice little trick, save you a bit of time. I'm going to zoom out and then zoom back in further up so that I get the full view of it. Alright, now I'm going to do the same, go back to my scissor tool, left click. Now as you can see, because the center of the original line was here, when I left click and snip it, it's only selecting this part of the line, but we also want to do this line as well. So we'll just do them separately. So I'm going to continue to press left click on the snip tool on this line until we lose all the lines, and then Ctrl Z. Now I'll do it on this one as well. Reselect the scissor tool, click, left click, and Ctrl Z. Alright, so now we have single lines, which is what we need later on to extrude it. I believe there was one more here that we need to get rid of. So back to our scissor tool and left click, and we'll just for goodwill, we'll go through and make sure, yeah, so those are single lines, which is all good. Alright, now we have our notch. So we can actually extrude this part. We'll go back to our front view. We can extrude this part. It's nearly ready to go. We just want to figure out what this bit here will look like. And what we'll do is we'll give it a similar kind of notch that will lock in to the base, like this one here, our base. So instead of doing a notch, we'll do actually a hole that allows a dowel to go through. So dowel joints are a nice non-screwing, like fully timber way of connecting two pieces of timber together. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of these lines here. So go back to our scissor tool, get rid of those. And then I'm going to go through with I'll put a line in first at the center. And we'll go to our center. As you can see, it's thrown a symbol with a dot in the middle of the line, the horizontal line. We'll left click, pull that up, perpendicular. Oh, we might even want to go parallel maybe. Yeah, we'll go parallel. It just allows us to get the centers of the arbor, this diagonal side, instead of, if we went perpendicular, we'd probably get the kind of the outside, which would be okay, but in order to make it more sturdy, we probably want to go with the centers. In fact, to get it even more sturdy, what we'll do is we'll go 4 dots, 4 holes for the dowels to go through. So I'll go through with my line tool, and we know this is about 104, so we'll go in 25 or maybe 30. We'll go 40 from the side, so left click on the line and then right 40, and we're going to do a line perpendicular to the bottom line. I'm going to connect it all the way up to that line, and then we'll do a second line about 50 mil from our original line, so left click, then 50, and then take it down. Alright, so this just gives us a reference point to do our holes in. So we're going to go over to our center point circle tool, left click on that. If it's not there, it might be one of these, then you can select it from that drop down menu. So left click on that one. And we'll go, for this one, we'll go originally we'll go 30 mil up from the bottom. So 30, make sure you're dimensioning these. It's important to dimension everything because it allows you, when you go through to make the next part, to have a reference point for where things need to be. So if you do an arbitrary dimension, if I just go this number here, then I have to write that entire number in to my next part that holds it upright, just in order to get where the circle is. So we've clicked that, and we're going to write 30, not 33 point whatever it is. Right. I'm going to do the same over here, click it down, and you see that yellow dotted line means it's in line with that other point. Click there, and then we're done. So now we go back to our center point circle tool. We're going to make a circle here. Now I don't know off the top of my head what size dowels we'll use, so I'm just going to go look it up. Go Bunnings. Now I think you spelled dowels with an E, but we'll find out. Dowel. Yep. So 6 mil that one is, 10 mil. Looks like 10 mil's the larger one. Could even get these bigger, just circular pieces of timber to use instead. That might be the go, just to get something really strong and potentially that goes all the way through. Yeah, we'll do that. 12.5 mil, 12, oh, that's half one, 22 mil, .5 is quite large, so probably go with that one. 25 mil. Let's see, it's always good to have like a tape measure or a ruler nearby, give you an idea of what dimension things are. I'm looking at 12.5 mil. That one there might be right, 22 mil. That's a good number. All right, we'll go with the 22 mil one. It looks different to the rest of them. Not sure what the difference is besides size. Alright, we'll go with 22 mil. So we'll go back to here, and then in the diameter we'll write 22 mil, enter. I might need to make them a bit further apart. 22 mil, enter. $22 and left click first, and then 22 mil, enter. Now, 22 mil might be a bit too large, just looking at it now from this. This is why this process of drawing it on CAD helps. I'm just thinking about the size of traditional drill bits. 22 mil is quite a large drill bit, but I know we definitely have 12.5s. So I might go through and change these all to 12.5. So left click on that, and 22 mil is just being a bit overkill. Sometimes it's good to be overkill, but sometimes if you need, if you just need it to work with tools and things like that, then you just have to go with your minimum requirement. So I just thought it might be good to go overkill, but maybe keeping it down to that would be better. So 12.5. Left clicking, double left clicking, and then writing a dimension. Just to reiterate, wait for the yellow on the dimension to come up. 12.5. All right. Now we can go through and delete all of these lines that we did. But those holes look like they'll be sufficient size for our for something secure to hold it together. And we got 4 of them as well, so that should be fine. So we'll go through back to our scissor tool, cutting tool, and get rid of all of the lines that we did. And then go into the circle. And delete all of the lines. All right, that's done now. We can go through and extrude this thing, I believe. That should be ready to extrude. I don't see why not. Just giving it one once over. Make sure it's all good. Yeah, it should be good. All right, front view. And I'm going to snip out this side here, just because that'll be a different part and we don't need it at the moment. And then I'm going to zoom in on our notch and everything. I'm going to snip out this, go back to our front view, snip out that line there, zoom down here, make sure it's all gone. None of that line left. None of those extra lines. Oh, there will probably be a few extra lines here. So just delete all of those lines and then Control Z back the lines. I'd say that would be all good though. Now we checked everything else, so yeah, let's try. We'll tick that. So that's now a completed sketch, and then we're going to left click on the whole thing when all the yellow lines come up. We're going to go over here to extrude. So extruding just gives the whatever your sketch is a third dimension. So it'll make it a 3-dimensional shape instead of a 2-dimensional shape, which is what it is currently. So we can give our piece of timber, our diagonal upright, some. We can actually make it into a piece of timber now. So left click extrude, and then the depth at which we'll extrude is going to be 50 mil. It's the size of the timber. And as you can see, we have a third dimension. It's now a three-dimensional shape. So you can tick that. All right. Great work. It's a good looking upright. So that's our first part. Now we're going to go through create a second sketch for our second part. All right. First thing you're going to do, select the front face. Left click on sketch. And we're going to draw our lines in. So start at the bottom. Oh, actually we'll start at the top this time. Left click, then zoom out and then zoom in. Take it all the way to the center. Make sure it's in the center of this line. Just left click wherever along here. And then we're going to change that dimension to our original 2380. And why I did that, like, oh, is that the right? No, that's the wrong dimension, sorry. It was 2270. So I just go to my dimension tool, change that to 2270. Apologies, that's better. So why I did that, I started from the top, it's because if I started from the bottom and then went up here, it may have constrained it to this line and the bottom of the plane here. But we don't want that because we definitely want it constrained to this top bit because we want the line to stop at the top. But it doesn't matter where it stops at the bottom because as long as it's the right dimension, it should be in line with here. But if we start at the bottom of the plane, it might have been too long, potentially. So that's all good there. Make sure you're constraining your lines and parts and everything to the right things. That's the lesson. Okay, now we'll do a second line. Left click on the top again. And just in line with the bottom of that line. Zoom in if you're unsure. And left click here. That's a, yep, that's perfectly horizontal line. Cool. Great. And then that particular dimension needs to be 2380. So we'll just write that, 2380. And then we're going to do a perpendicular line. Got the symbol thrown up, 100. It's good to do this exercise with me because it will allow you just to solidify that knowledge. And bring it up. Remember to move up, down, left to right without changing the view. Just hold Control on mine and then double click if you have a laptop. Otherwise it should be if you hold down the scroll button on your mouse. So we can, at the bottom of that triangle, left click. Alright, now that should be 100 across. Ooh, it's not quite. What is it on this one? It's 100 across on this one. It's not quite 100 across on this one though. It's out by 5 mil. Try that line again, because I did see that it threw a parallel line before. Yeah, so that's the parallel line there. Left click. Down. Yeah, it is slightly lower, which is strange. Is it? perfect there. Now it's probably not the correct distance from, yeah, okay. Let's try, when it throws the wrong dimension, it's not terrible. Like I could go through and draw these lines and continue the shape as is with the extra dimension, and that might be what we very well have to do in order to just, you know, keep going along with it. It's not a critical dimension by any means anyways, so we can go through and just, I'm just going to Control Z those lines that we drew. Alright. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw a horizontal line across. And we know it's horizontal because the yellow dotted line. So left click there and then draw a line from the point to that horizontal line. And we know that means it'll be horizontal with the bottom bit. So we can left click anywhere on this line and then write 2380 as our dimension. And that will take it along that line. Alright, so now we can do our perpendicular line of 100. 100. And hopefully when we bring that up to the point, it will be parallel. It's perpendicular there, let's see what happens. It's still a bit far away, very strange. Might have been an issue with the extrusion. You know that line's fine. Alright, what we'll do instead is we'll go through and we'll draw our horizontal line from this part over here. I'm not really sure what's going on, but you know, you just got to sometimes troubleshoot through these kind of things in order to get the I can't explain what's happening, but I'm sure there's something going on that is disallowing. So we'll go from this point here and we're drawing a horizontal line just out so we know it's definitely past where our diagonal line will go to. And then we'll draw our other line from here. And I suspect, as you can see, it looks like this is a bit higher than there. For whatever reason that is, I'm not sure. And then we'll write 2380 on that. And we'll do our perpendicular line at 100. And then we'll go up to the point. See when it throws. Yeah, okay, we'll see what that does. And then perpendicular line. Okay, so it's 100 there. So we know that that's what we should have done from the get-go. There's clearly an issue with the length of this line, but I don't know what it is because it's the exact same dimension as we originally did. So there's clearly something going on there that's with the center line, that's the issue. But that's alright, as long as it's in line with this line here, that'll be fine. So we know this is good dimensions now and we can now work from that. So this next part is pretty easy. You can just draw an outline of the notch. Just move upwards. And there we go. We'll probably have to delete a few of those lines later as this center line goes all the way through. And then we will go down here and we're going to do our the same thing as over here with the holes. So if I remember correctly, it was 30 mil in, 30 mil in, and then a parallel line that went 30 mil up. And then the next one was 30 mil again. Might have to recheck these actually. Oh, something's going wrong there. It's in line with something. So let's recheck them. So 30 mil. Oh, they weren't parallel lines, that's right. It was probably more like 40, wasn't it? Yep, because that's a vertical line. It goes through the centers. Alright, so it's 40 mil and then 30 to the first point and 60 to the second point, and then across. I believe it was 60 across, wasn't it? Find out. 50 across. All right. So 30 to the first point, 60 altogether the second point, but 30 to the second point, 50 mil across, 30 down, 30 down. All right. Get rid of those two lines. Use our cutting tool, snipping tool to get rid of those two. All right, now. So that dimension there is 40. Go to our dimension tool to change the dimension. 40. Alright, then 30 up. 30. And 30 again. And 50 across. Perfectly horizontal. Horizontal. 50 mil across. And then 30 down, and 30 down again. Alright, now go to our center point circle tool and throw in our 12.5 millimeter diameter circles. And then we're going to snip out all of our dimensions. Our lines, our dimension lines. Sorry. That were just there to give us the positioning of the circles. That's the only purpose they serve. Alright. Alright, then we can snip these down here. And we should be good to go. I think I need to get rid of that 40 line. Yep. And then this big line. And these lines here. Might have to get rid of a few lines actually. These lines are good. And back to our snipping tool. That line and that line. And any other lines over there, and then maybe 1-2 lines there I think, but we'll go through just to double check, snip the rest of them. Yeah, so just the two. Alright, now we can extrude this object as well as another part. So tick, and I believe left click on the sketch, That's another way of doing it. You don't have to go in and select from here. You can just select the whole sketch and extrude from there. Now, what we want to do here is we don't just want to add, because we want to make a new part. And if we click add, it would just assume that this sketch is going to be a part of this object. So this object already being a particular part that has been made, so part 1. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to new, and this will make it into a new part entirely. So we'll go 50 mil on that one. So as you can see, it's created a new part called part 2. 50 mil, just make sure that it's extruding it in the right direction, and it is. It's extruding it, so it's going to be side by side, that one. And we're going to click tick. So now we got both of our parts. I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename it, so right click, rename our part, male upright, and then that one's good. We'll rename this one, right click, female upright. Oh. Okay. Now, I'm just going to show you a few things to do with these particular parts. I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you the holes. As you can see, white behind them, that means these holes, you can see there, the shadowing, they go all the way through the object. You can see them from the other side. So that's one thing, it's the same on the other one. Yep. And that just means that we've done the holes correctly. They go all the way through. When we extruded it, it left those holes outside of the extrusion. So it'll extrude the main body, everything except those holes. You can do the opposite. You can do just the holes and not the main body, but obviously we wanted to do the main body instead. All right, so we've got our two parts as the uprights now. We want to continue and make these sections here our kind of base plates with the 4 holes for the dowels to go through in here. All right, so the way we're going to do this is we'll do it all on the front view. We'll do the first thing on the front view. We're going to make our base. Actually, we might do the side bits first, the upright. And we might do these bits first. It might be easier because we will have a full view of how to do these, and then we can do that along the bottom of it. All right, let's go with that one then. So in order to do those uprights, we'll actually go to our bottom view. And I'm going to pull it, wrong button, bottom view, and pull it across. And I'm going to use this face as our plane to sketch from, because this face is probably further up than this face, and we know we want this face to be the bottom of those upright pieces. So we use this face, and that is perfectly fine to do. You don't have to always select these planes. You can actually select these planes as our reference point as well. You can also make new planes. If I can remember where they are. There you go, plane. And you can offset the planes and things like that from different surfaces. Like offset surface. Or probably more just using the plane tool. Offset surface is a different thing. But yeah, so we'll go from here. Left click on here and then select sketch. And I believe our uprights are probably going to want to be the exact width of this bottom section here. maybe a little bigger because it's not to an exact dimension. But just for the sake of this particular CAD model, we'll probably just make it the size of this section here, which will be fine. So even though it's not an exact dimension, that's all right. All right, so 105 wide, and we'll make it 50 high, 50. And then we'll take that all the way so that it's horizontal and completely parallel. Alright, so we've done that one. Then we're going to do the same on this side. In line. Alright, fairly simple. We could probably just extrude from here, I'd say. Now we know we have to extrude at least 30, 60, and then half of 12.5, which will be 6.25, so 66.25 upright. We know we have to extrude at least that high. So we might go, if it's 66, we might go to maybe 80. And that we can work on that extrusion. We'll have a look at what looks right. But we'll go through and extrude both of those. And we want to go the opposite direction. So using this arrow here, we'll left click on that, takes it upright, and we'll go 80. And it actually tells you how far. We'll go to a front view and zoom in. Actually tells you how far it's kind of going. Looking at it now, actually, I might want to go even a bit further this way. So we might come out of this, exit. And this is a good thing to know as well, is in order to change the original sketch, you can left click the sketch, and if you double click it, it'll take you to modify it. So we'll go bottom view, zoom in on here, and I might add an extra, we'll make this line maybe 150, we'll see what that looks like. Well, probably a bit too far, maybe 125 would be better. Alright, or 130, that's a good number. So 130, like that, 130. This is good because it gives more exact dimension as well. It's not going in line. There we go. Okay, and then we'll snip out those excess lines. And then we'll do the same over here. Great. Okay, now let's extrude that. I think it'll look a lot better. So we'll go tick, then to our extrusion, and select both of those faces. And we'll go to our front view, zoom in, and 80. And like last time it went down, so just click on this arrow, opposite direction, goes up. That looks much better, I think. It's not quite in line with that, which would have been nice, but I'm not particularly bothered. I think that looks good, actually. So we can tick on that. This can be also a new part. If we can make it a part of the same part, that would be ideal, but might not be able to. Yeah, they are separate technically, so might be able to merge them later, but otherwise we'll just have to. Oh, it would be good to get them as the same part. We'll see what we can do. We'll just tick it for now. Alright, now we can go through and make our holes. So I'm going to select this face and we're going to left click sketch. Now ideally we can just go to our center point circle and maybe hide that part. Ideally I was thinking that if we could hide them we could use these as our we could literally just do a circle from here, but it doesn't look like we can. I accidentally clicked in a random position, it's not in the center, but just Control Z that. Alright, so maybe a different type of line, 3-point circle. Nah, won't go. But we do know where the lines need to be, so left click this point, follow along 40 mil there, and then 30 mil upright, and 30 mil again, 50 mil across, 30 mil down, and then 30 mil to the bottom. Oh, we don't even need to do that bottom bit. We can just go to our center circle and draw our 12.5 millimeter diameter circles. Done. Oh, did that go 1.5? Don't want that. Dimension that one. 12.5. There we go. Alright, now snip out those lines. Cool. Alright, now we know those lines are on that particular face there, but what we might do is instead of doing it on both parts, we might extrude all the way through to this block as well. So if I tick on that one, and then we select that sketch there, we can extrude, and we go remove, and I believe if I do this correctly, instead of going blind, we can do that, we might have to do that, but we'll go up to face, and you can select this face here, and that should remove everything in that line. So if we tick that, did it do it? Well, we didn't quite go through. Which is strange. Let's go back to our extrusion. Oh, okay, how far did it go? It looks like it went through that part, but maybe not through this part. So go back, double click it. And when we go up to face, we might have to just go a blind extrusion, or through all, that would be ideal. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going through that part as well, so we might have to redo it. It'd be good if we can merge these parts. Maybe when we do that bottom base plate, we'll merge them. Anyways, we'll just repeat the same process on this particular one. So part 4, so left click that one. Oh, we don't want to left click the whole thing. Left click that face, left click sketch, go to back view, zoom in on it, and we can hide that. And we're going to draw some lines, 40 mil in, 40 mil, 30 mil up, 30 mil up. Oh, don't want it in line with anything. It locked to a different line, so I just redid it. Make sure I'm not constrained, like I said last time. 50 mil across and 30 mil down. Alright, now we can draw our circles. 12.5, 5. As you can see, I'm always drawing them larger than the actual original circles. It just allows me to know that the circles are there, and dimensioning is just easier. Okay, now we'll cut out the excess lines. Pardon me. All right, left click, tick, sketch 5. And we can see these, and we'll extrude other way, and we'll go. Now I believe we can go through all. Oh, see, it does it on that one, doesn't it? Oh, we're gonna remove material. Yeah, we can. We might actually do that. I might leave that. Okay. Oh, something went wrong. Sketch 5. Edit. Oh, sketch 5. Extrude. And we'll go up to face. We'll try that. Remove. We'll select this face here. Looks like, you can see. Yeah, it goes all the way through, so it should be able to. Yep. All right. Yeah, you can see all the different colors in there, all 3 colors of the objects. Alright, so up to face is fine. You can also do a blind extrusion, and that would be this dimension here, which was 50. So if you did blind extrusion, you would write 50. That would be all the way through. Yeah, you can see 3 colors. I would just do up to face. Just triple checking that works. Yep. And ticket. Oh no. Something went wrong again. Control Z. Sketch 5. Extrude. Move up to face. Let's say I didn't go back to remove, maybe. And tick that. Alright, there we go. Go back. You can zoom. Yeah, you can see through all of it. There we go. Alright, that took longer than necessary, but now we have our blocks, and now we're up to creating our sort of long piece, and we can use actually this as our face to do it. Should be good. We may want to offset it maybe a little. Alright, so we'll utilize a new skill. I believe plane, and the plane, so I've selected that face. I'll go back, show you what I did. So I'm selecting this face, then going up to our plane feature, and as you can see, our offset distance can go either way, but we'll make it this way. You can choose the dimension of how far it's offset. Now this is a good feature because it allows us to reference a new part off this plane or something like that. It's a very essential feature, especially when it comes to using angles and revolving things as well. Really good feature to know how to use. So if this is 100, what do we make it, 130 mil wide, then we can typically get 150 mil boards. So 10 mil is a good number because 10 mil on either side will be 150 altogether. So you can tick that. I'll just double check that that is in fact 130. Yeah, 130. Alright, I'll just cross out of that. Alright, now we use this plane. Make sure you left click the plane, not the object. And we'll do a sketch. Alright, so we'll start with, can't really reference any of these parts. Reference that point there. I'm not sure what that point's for though. You really need to be able to kind of reference the parts. That's why you have it. There we go. Doesn't want to. Maybe a different tool might work on it. Oh wait, is that good? Doesn't want to work. Might have to work off this plane first, create a sketch, and then create a second sketch. So if I out of that and then select this plane, left sketch, create an arbitrary line that goes across, and maybe one that goes down as well, and then just click tick on that and then select our plane and select sketch. Might be able to use those. No, I can't use those new lines either, even though we're directly it's only that little dot we can use. We'll see if that dot comes up anywhere else. Sketch. Okay, so we can use the dot. So from the dot to the bottom here is 62 point. I'm going to write that down. I did have a pencil handy a second ago. That's one. Oh, there it is. So 62.54108. There might have to be a better way of doing this actually. Because that decimal is quite long, it might just keep going and might technically not actually connect to the object. So might do a different way, but at least we know that skill of offsetting a plane. How we can delete that sketch we just did as well. Alright, so let's go off this face. And go back. Sketch. Alright, so I'll do a line. I'm gonna go 10 mil out, and then we'll make it a 50 mil thick board. And then 150 wide, and back up 50 and all the way through. Alright, so that's fine like that. Looks like it could be, no, that'll be right actually. So we'll left click that and we'll extrude it. And we'll just start by extruding it this way. So let's go left and we'll see what a good distance of extrusion looks like. So 500 looks alright. Let's see. My tape measure handy. 500 either side would be, maybe 400 would be a bit more conservative. Yeah, 400 looks like a good number, I think, on either side. So we'll go 400 and add. It should add. There we go. Here you go, new then. Part 4. No. So add new. Tick. And now when we extrude it this way, we're going to select this face and extrude that. We're going to need to extrude it 400 plus this distance here. So I know that's 50, and that's 50. So it's going to be an extra 150 mil on top of our 400, which is 550. So left click on that face, click extrude, and we can go blind and 550 mil. And tick. We've actually done another part entirely on that. Yeah, it'd be good if we could merge those parts together. Yeah. Might have to look that one up, I'm not sure how it works. How to merge parts in Onshape. There we go. So using the Boolean feature, is that one there, it looks like. Okay. Looks like there's one here. Can we do it like that? Yeah, nice. So part 5, 4, 3, and 6. I'm going to union those and tick. Lovely. Much better. Okay. And we call that the... rename that one the base. So when you don't know something, there's a lot of information online. You can always look it up. So that's what we've done just then. Now, I could do holes in the bottom here that kind of screw into that, but I don't really need it to understand how the parts work together. I feel like we have enough information on the parts here. The reason I haven't made it on the second side is because we can just reuse this part. We don't need a second version of that. So yeah, we might need to make some dowel kind of rods for those, but we'll try and do the assembly without those. Okay, so that's all saved and everything. We'll try the assembly now.